Hey folks, so who is the new XE5 camera from Fujifilm for? Let's discuss. So, in a bit of a surprise, Fujifilm have announced a new camera, and it's the XE5. Now, it was a surprise. I wasn't expecting this camera this year. I was expecting the xpro 4 or something like that, but we've got it out and it's been pitched as a premium camera. Now, closest camera spec to it is the X-T50. Which has been out a couple of years now, which is essentially like a miniature X-T5. And that might be one of the cameras you would consider, but there are also a couple of other alternatives that you might be looking at. So I've got them down here, the cameras that I actually currently own for Fujifilm. That other than the X-E5, if you go and look up the spec, it's very similar. You can equally go and look up the spec of the X-E5, because that's actually now on Fujifilm's website. But those of you who are considering a Fuji camera getting the ecosystem will be looking at this, which is the little XM5, which is tiny, or this, as you can see them both together, the X-T5, both of which cameras I own. I've used the X-T5 for about 3 years now, and I've recently picked up the XM5 as a travel camera because I wanted something that didn't have IBIS, that was super compact, and would fit in what's actually behind me, which is a motorcycle. It's in the kitchen, don't ask questions. It's due to go put away later. But I digress. But essentially for travel, the XM5 was really good for me, and I got that because I didn't think the XE5 was coming out anytime soon. But it is. And the next question is, let's go through why we'd want one, what are the good and what are the bad about the camera, and then you can make your mind up. But essentially, it's a premium camera from what I've read. I haven't got a hold of one yet. And it's kind of like an X100V, but with interchangeable lenses. And it's going to be in between the X-T5 and XM5 for size. You know, so if I bring these up again, you can pretty much see, as we get the light on them there, it's going to be sort of in between those two cameras for size. I'll put those down. Which means it's going to be quite a compelling camera for a lot of people. And me included, because the XM5 is a great camera, but it has piece and dials, and it can be a bit of a pain to use with its lack of dials. You're constantly pressing to get them. I put up with that because sometimes I need a camera that can go in a pocket, or it's really easy if you stop at the side of the road, you can get it out, and it's perfect for that. But if I'm hiking or taking my time, and I'm travelling light, then it can have its problems. It's okay. It doesn't have a viewfinder, the XM5. That's another reason you may not consider it. Which, again, is a video focus camera, the XM5. That's why it doesn't have a viewfinder, and it's made to a price point of £800. So if you don't need a viewfinder, videos you made focus, you might just plump for the XM5. Alternatively, you've got the X-T5, which is a fully fledged clone of an SLR, if you like. It's styled around that with the viewfinder in the middle, and of course the little, if you like, the little lump on the top of the camera where the pentaprism would have gone on an SLR camera. And it's styled in that sense. It's got an ISO dial, and it's got a few extra features that you wouldn't have. It's got a higher res viewfinder, higher res screen. We'll come on to that shortly in the pros and cons. And it's got a better battery in it. The screen articulates 3 ways, so it doesn't flip up, and it's a photographer's camera, but it's quite bulky and it's quite heavy compared to the XE5. So it's a larger camera. Price-wise, it is a little bit more expensive. The XE5, although currently it's discounted, so it's actually cheaper. If you get, well, it's cheaper than the XE5 with the kit. And now this is the compelling thing we'll come on to. The one thing that attracted me to the XE5, which is why I've pre-ordered one, is because I do want something that's in between these two cameras. That I can, if I don't want to like carry my full on Fuji kit, I've got something that's a bit more capable with the 40 megapixel sensor versus the 26 in the XM5. Of course, the X-T50 and the X-T5 have the 40 megapixel sensor, better for cropping. But the kit for about £1,550 comes with the new 23mm pancake lens. Now, I don't have that lens and it's not coming out at the end of the year, and it's £400 and odd by itself probably. I think 400 to 450. But this is the TTS Artisan's 27mm pancake, and you can see how small it makes. We just get the light to reflect on it there. How small it makes the camera. It's pretty small, which means for a little street shooter, you've got the advanced viewfinder, the 40 megapixels, and the premium build with far more buttons, and crucially some other things that we'll come on to. But why don't we start to look at the advantages and disadvantages next in more detail? Well, let's start with the bad things first so we can finish on a high. So I've got a list here down to the left to remind me. So we did touch on the viewfinder. Now, what was disappointing for a camera that's priced at quite a premium price is that the viewfinder is only 2.4 million dots and the screen is quite a disappointing 1 million dots, which is the same as the XM5. And I would have thought that the screen resolution should have probably matched that of the XS20, the X-T50 and the X-T5, which are all similarly priced cameras, but it doesn't. And that's a shame. The viewfinder is perfectly serviceable, of course, and keeps the camera compact and the power consumption lower. But a 3.6 million dot viewfinder is a significant difference, and that would have been nice to have. So, but comparable to the X-T50, which is kind of your comparable camera. Big one for me, but again, the XM5 isn't weather sealed either, and I do use that as a walk around camera. It's not weather sealed. I use weather sealed lenses. The kit lens comes with it, is weather sealed, but I will use that on my X-T5, which is weather sealed. Again, disappointing. At the very least, you would think it would have come weather sealed. The X100V is weather sealed and doesn't cost a lot more. Well, should I say the X100VI, because all the X100V, either one you get, are similar cameras, and although they have a fixed lens, and that's where the idea behind the 23mm pancake came from, to have an interchangeable lens camera that could give it the look and feel of that X100 series. And to be honest, one of the things that attracted me to the X100 was the hybrid viewfinder. And I did use it now and again, but I didn't use it as often as I thought. So unless you want that pure photography look, you won't miss the hybrid viewfinder. Now, it doesn't come with a 3-way tilt screen that the X-T5 does. It's a 2-way tilt screen. But it does tilt up into selfie mode. So if you did want to film yourself or do vlogs, you've got that option, which is handy. Doing sort of low shots or in portrait orientation where you want to flip the screen up, you lack that ability to turn the screen up, which is a bit of a pain. And I kind of wish they'd put that in. You know, again, at this price point, you would expect to have the 3-way tilt screen, but it didn't get put in, so it's just 2-way tilt. It can tilt all the way down, it can tilt all the way up and to selfie, which is similar to the XE4. So there is that, but again, a bit disappointing. It doesn't have vertical video, which surprised me. That could be added in firmware, but then that is more the realm of the XM5, which is a more video-focused vlogger creator TikTok camera. It's not hard to do vertical video. You can just turn the camera portrait and film yourself in portrait. It's not a big deal to do. You can do it on any camera, and then when you're editing it, you can rotate it. But a lot of people like to get the footage straight from the camera with the film simulation looks that we'll cover shortly. And for them, rotating video, if their software on their phone doesn't do it, it is potentially off-putting. So having vertical video for a camera like this, which undoubtedly will be popular with creators, was a surprising miss when it does have a screen that flips round to the front. So bear that in mind if you're buying it to be a photo first, but something that's got good video features. Again, it's got the MP126 battery, which the XT5 has the W235 battery, which is much higher capacity. Having said that, so does the XM5 have the 126 battery, and I've been surprised by how decent the battery life is on something I'm using the screen all the time on. Might have been the reason why they didn't put the high-res screen on, because the high-resolution screens and viewfinders will eat more power. Maybe that's why they put the low-res screens on, because they thought you could get away with it and it would be better for the battery. And the more modern cameras are much better for their power management. Therefore, they don't tend to exhaust the battery that quickly. I've been doing like 6-shot handheld panos of my camera, having the screen on all the time to compose them with the XM5, because it's a lovely little walking camera when I don't want that weight. And that's what I want to use the XE5 for, because it's got that extra cropping in ability, the higher resolution, and it's got a viewfinder if I need to hold something up to my face to get that extra bit of stability when I'm panning around, because often I won't have a tripod with me if I want to travel light. I'll just have the camera, and you miss that ability. And obviously I wear glasses, which again, a viewfinder is a godsend if you wear glasses, because you can adjust the diopter so that you don't have to have your glasses on. So it doesn't mean I'm fumbling around for glasses and where's my spectacles, and I've got to find them so I can see the screen. If I don't have a viewfinder, I have to do that. And lastly, the lack of an ISO dial. I thought, they probably could have squeezed one on, but their entry-level cameras rarely have an ISO dial. Again, I'm more thinking because the pricing it's edging towards premium. It's almost the same price as an XT5, which has that feature on it. So, in a nutshell, that's the downside. So, it's time to look at all the positive things before we come to our conclusion. So let's look at the film sim dial. The film sim dial has been completely changed. It was a bit tacky on the XT50 and the XM5, if I'm honest. It is handy when I'm doing video, because for a video focus camera I can go, I want real erase, and I can install some custom film sims, but I couldn't customize the recipes. But now you can customize the recipes, and I can't remember how you can store, but it's more, you've got 3 recipes you can program onto the dial, but I believe you can store far more recipes in camera. And we're talking about proper Fujifilm recipes, where you might set the grain and the clarity and the colour chrome effect and the film simulation. And these are things normally you'd have to program into like one of the custom modes of the camera. Now you can actually have separate recipes, and the dial is much more subtle. It looks like an old film dial where you were winding the camera on and you would see the number crank up. And I like the new implementation of it. And if I do want to just shoot in camera with a recipe where I can control the curves and the shadows, and I'm not really going to be bothered about post-processing it, I just want the experience of the camera. And this is where it starts to become into the importance of why I'm looking to get this camera, is that I like interchangeable lenses. That's what I struggled with the X100 series. But I love the experience of shooting with the camera. I like to turn the dials, the ISO dials, and the tactile feel of seeing the camera settings. And this is what you can see on Fuji cameras. And the XE5 brings this to the table, whereas the XM5 doesn't so much do that. It's got a vintage feel to it, it's super light and it's great to carry around, the XM5, but the XE5 has that full sort of even more like vintage feel to it. So that's the first 2 points covered really. You've got the film sim recipes and this lovely film sim dial, which I think it's rather smart, and I think this is going to be very attractive to people. As we alluded to in the introduction, the screen flips up, and this is quite important for creators who might be out doing some photography but equally might want to, at a pinch, film themselves. Now, the camera doesn't have the same level of capability as the XS20, for example, which is a video focus, which is actually almost better than the XT5 for video, matching it for video. It can go up to very high bit rates for extremely high quality film. The XE5 doesn't do that. It's similar to the XT50, and the in fact, it's inferior in some respects to the XM5 because you don't have open gate, which is to record the full readout. So you can see we've got, if I go around here, the full readout of the screen. We're recording in 16:9. In fact, I've got this in a 2.4:1 aspect ratio that I've framed it up in. And I can film on my Lumix, and I can film in open gate, and then I can crop it in if I wish to do that. And this is where open gate's quite advantageous for creators. So that's something you might want to bear in mind, that the video modes are sufficient for a photography first camera, other than what we touched on before. And the screen flips up, which is a good thing to have in a pinch, to see if you want to do a selfie, as people do with mobile phones. And they're going to attract people who are like first time camera users. They like to do a selfie or be able to compose or see what the camera is doing. The build quality, now I haven't seen the camera. I do see one at the end of the month, and obviously it's a few months before the camera's released in August, but there's a sort of a check the camera out event at my local camera shop, so I will do a little video on that as a follow-up to this. But from the feedback I've had, the build quality is very premium. It's more, again, if we get the two cameras I've got here up, my XT5 and my XM5. The XM5 is more or less made of plastic. I'm not sure if the top plate is metal, but it probably is just a premium plastic. And the XT5, this is metal. So it's very metallic construction, shall we say. And you can tell that in the weight, and it's got a magnesium chassis, which the XM5 is plastic build, and the XE5 is, I'm told, is this kind of build quality. So you're going to get that improved build quality. And then the price was a surprise, because I thought the price would be actually higher, because in the US, because of the tariff changes, the price has actually gone up, and we kind of almost have price parity. Usually in the UK, we actually pay more than our friends in America, just because we do, even with taxes. But now with American taxes taken into account, the prices with the lenses coming out pretty much identical. So in a sense, it's still cheaper in the US, but the tariffs have kind of brought it up to parity of what we pay. We all pay a lot more. But I was worried it was going to cost about £1,600. Thankfully, the base camera with just the body is £1,300, and with the kit lens is £1,550. So all in all, some very good points. So some negative points and some positive points. So let's wrap this up. As I said earlier, I'm getting one of these. I think it'll fit in a niche between these two cameras I've got, and sort of fill that to give me something that's in between, as it were. It's rangefinder-esque. I think I want to get back into doing some street photography, and I think the XT5 was quite bulky for that and noticeable, whereas if you've just got a small rangefinder, you just look like a tourist, which is what you want for street photography. You don't want to stick out. So there's that. So I sense that if that's what you want a subtle camera that's photography first, but it's capable as a video shooter, which will give you similar video capabilities to the XT50. And, it is similar to the XM5 in video, apart from you don't get the open gate or the vertical video. Potentially the vertical could be added, but the 40 megapixel sensor, I don't think it reads out fast enough to do open gate, which is why even the XT5 doesn't have open gate recording. They do have 6K 16:9 though cinema format recording, so you do get 6K, but you can, for £800 you can get that. And this is where, if you're thinking more of video, you might be thinking more XM5, and it's obviously a lot cheaper. You can spend that money on lenses. So we've really sort of coming to the conclusion that it's like, if you're going to be photo first with a bit of video, you're probably going to err on the side of getting the XE5, and you want something that's quite stylish, quite discreet, and in a rangefinder style, but you want to change lenses, you can get that. You get XE5. If you need a bit of what you need, your weather resistance, and the higher res viewfinder, and the better screen with the better articulation, and again it's photography first, then you're going to get better results getting the XT5, because it's got the extra dials on, the extra custom modes, as I said, the weather resistance. There's just a lot more to that camera. But equally, you've got things like the manual focus, autofocus switch that the XT5 has, which the XE5 also has, and the XE4 apparently didn't have that. So they're putting a few extra premium features on there. Whereas your XM5, two E5s going on here, the XM5 doesn't have switches like that, and it lacks custom modes. But if you want something that's no frills, that kind of gives you a similar experience, and it's very capable of taking pictures, but it's slightly more video focused, does your vertical video, super lightweight for creators, you know, easy to set up and use, has the advantage of that built-in microphone that is multi-directional, and you can also put a little wind muff on the top, which will protect it. Well, I've got a video I did on that on the XM5 actually, because the inbuilt mics to these cameras are not necessarily designed for a creator. They're basically scratch audio. You're going to have to use what I've got here, which is a dedicated mic with the XE5 or the XT5 if you're recording, whereas the XM5 at a pinch, you can get away with the onboard mic because it is uprated. So if you're sort of looking for things like that, where you want something that just works as a package out the box, can take pictures but is a little bit more video focused, and you don't mind just having a viewfinder, XM5, the XE5 probably won't work for you. And as I said, I'm getting one and I'm looking forward to getting it. So I hope you got value from this video. This is just my sort of musings and what I've picked up from reading about the camera, seeing what people have said, what I've spoken to sort of local camera shops about what's coming, and the surprise of it being launched, but thinking, this is kind of what I would always have wanted, because I did kind of want an XE4 when it came out, but they suddenly went out of production. You couldn't get one. They stopped making them, and it never really got a chance to take off, but I was intrigued by that camera. So, like I say, hope you got value. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe. And as always, discuss in the comments below your thoughts, if you think I've missed anything, or there's any thoughts you have it on, or what you think about you are getting for a camera. Would you get an XE5, or would you get one of the other cameras that I've showed you? Anyway, folks, I'll catch you all later. Bye.